Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking week 3 waiver wire. We've got a few decent pickups, I think, this week. You know, still, I don't feel like we're getting that big season-changing player yet, Jeff, unless you think different. Do you have a guy this week that might change some things for people?
No, not the win-it-all type of player, but I do think we have some solid ones that could turn into every week starters.
Well, I'm going to start it off then right away. Just jump into this thing. And I'm probably going to be different than everybody else, but I made my number one pickup for this week, Aaron Jones. I believe in this guy, and I don't think Jamal Williams has done enough to prove that he could have the job. I think Aaron Jones is going to step in. I think Aaron Jones is more talented than Jamal Williams, and I think Aaron Jones is going to take over this job and not look back. So Aaron Jones is my top pickup of the week.
No, 100% agree. We've been saying it the last couple weeks because his suspension is going to be up finally. So if you didn't jump on it now. He's owned in 45.6% of ESPN leagues. So for the half of the leagues that he's not owned, definitely go out and get him because you're not going to get a whole lot of chances at a good waiver deal like this for running back. And last year he looked the part. He looked really good. So everything that Craig says is spot on. I think he's going to take it and not look back.
Yeah, he's going to for sure. Not everyone's been on board with that, I think, but I just don't see why he won't. Watching those two last year, I thought Aaron Jones was the better running back, and I just really feel like he's going to take this job. Ty Montgomery's he's not going to do much of anything. He's there, but he's not ever taken over again. So Aaron Jones, I think, is going to take this job and be the guy.
Yeah, and not to be the the downer as well, but I think if the worst happens as well, obviously Aaron Rodgers gutted it out. He's hurt. But if they do decide to rest him for a week or two or whatever it may be, the running game will be even more important. And Aaron Jones is the perfect guy to supplement that. So I think that, that's even more reason to pick him up.
Now, who would be your next guy this week?
It's got to be Keeling Cole. 48.4. So once again, half of the leagues don't own this guy yet, and he had the freakish catch. I think he's the clear-cut number one wide receiver for Jags now. And the way they've been using, the way he's been playing, I think he is a very good, just a wonderful player. So I think he would have to be number 2 for me.
He ended up being my number 3 guy for the week. I mean, he's my number 1 wide receiver.
Oh, okay. Who's number 2 then?
My number 2 is actually going to be Gio Bernard. And this could turn into a 4-week absence for Joe Mixon. So Gio, I think, he's always been pretty good when he's gotten opportunities. So if you're in a spot where you need a running back right now, you need somebody to fill in, at least for these next 3-4 weeks, Gio's going to be a starter. You can plug him into your lineup and start him. So the way I just feel like running back is so much more scarce, I want the running back here. And I think Gio's a really good player. So I'm going to pick up Gio if I had the chance to. And problem is, I don't really have the chance to in any of our leagues, so he might not be out there in yours either. But 39.4% of leagues. But I'm picking up Gio if I need a running back to start, especially if like somebody like me who's a Peyton Barber owner. I'd rather start Gio over Peyton Barber all day.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think that's a wonderful pick. He is going to be obviously only for when Mixon is out. But yeah, that's a wonderful pick. No issue whatsoever.
So I'll say my next, you have Keeling Cole up there. I like Keeling Cole. My other next wide receiver I have on my list, it's going to be Geronimo Allison. He's still out there in more leagues than he's not for some reason. I don't know why, but he should be picked up. But Geronimo Allison, he's 2 very solid games in a row. He's only 25% owned right now. 5 for 69 and a touchdown, and then 6 for 64. I think that's kind of where his floor is going to be. He's going to continue to do that. So I like Geronimo.
Yeah, obviously. We're huge fans of his. Finally, I'm actually kind of feeling good that he actually did go up to 25% because before this, he was much lower. So I think people are finally catching on a little bit. I think he's going to be a very good wide receiver for the entire year. I don't see the rookies catching him. I think that he could even overtake Cobb. I know that Cobb did well week 1, but I think, through the course of this season, I think Allison will be the number 2 option.
Yeah, and I think he's going to stay on this list till he hits that 50% mark. I'm not taking him off this thing.
And that's the funny thing with this list, really, it's been guys that we've been preaching about for a while now, and we'll just go into it. I mean, Mike Williams, still only 35.3% of leagues. He's done well in both of the games, so I think that this guy will break out. I think he's doing well already, so I think Mike Williams is a guy you got to grab.
Chris Godwin, 34.1%.
Yep, exactly. And we just go down the list.
John Brown.
It really is. Yep, and John Brown there as well. He showed out. I worry about that Ravens offense, so I'd take the other guys above him. But John Brown is playing really good football right now, and hopefully Flacco kind of steps it up and starts throwing the ball a little bit better, because the last 2 large gains he had in that game, Monday night or Thursday night football, it could go either way. He could only have a catch for 12 yards if it wasn't for luck.
But those are the guys, those wide receivers, I feel should be owned in more leagues than they are. And they're all owned in less leagues than John Ross is.
I have a feeling that'll change pretty quickly.
They're owned in less leagues than Paul Richardson. So they're owned in less leagues than Devontae Parker, than Alan Hearns.
Yeah, and I think this is about the time. I think after 2 weeks, you kind of give up on the we'll wait and see kind of aspect, and you go for. And I think these guys had more upside anyway, but I understand the Hearns owners, right? They have to throw it to someone. Spoiler alert, I guess they don't.
No.
No, I agree with you. I think these guys, I think this is the week where it really turn over. I think Aaron Jones will definitely be captain over 50. Keeling Cole will. I even think Mike Williams will. I think maybe Geronimo Allison and Chris Godwin, those 2 will be the last. Maybe we'll get them for 1 more week. But I think this is the turnover that needed to happen. And I think you hit on it. You're talking the Hearns and the John Rosses and those kind of guys.
Well, even up higher, Josh Doxson, Mohamed Sanu. I mean, those guys need to go lower.
Yeah, 100%.
Even Jordy Nelson.
Yep. Our worst fear came true for him.
Yeah, these guys, these other receivers, and even, I'm more interested right now in Calvin Ridley and DJ Moore. I really am, because they both at least showed something last week, in week 2, and I'm interested to see what they could be. And we don't 100% know. Actually, I'd rather have them on my team than some of those other guys I mentioned, the Sanus, those kind of guys who we just know what they are. But what about how deep of a league do you have to be to get Cortland Sutton on your team right now?
Pretty deep. I'll be honest. I really like the kid, and you'd have to be in obviously Dynasty League. He should be on every team, but you would have to have a 12-person team. I could see someone throwing him out the end of their bench for now and waiting and trying to find out. That would probably be the beginning of it, but yeah. I would still need to see something out of him or an injury occur before I probably throw a waiver money at them, because there's still guys above him that you should be getting.
So another player I'm sure is probably top of, the next guy on your list, Austin Ekeler. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He definitely is.
42.9% owned. He's had now 2 weeks in a row where has value outside of, Melvin Gordon gets his, and yet Ekeler is still valuable. He had 18.6 in week 1 for standard scoring and 9.8 in week 2. He's very usable. If somebody wanted to put him in a flex, I don't have anything against that. I think that's a very good play.
Yeah, you're not going to hear me argue that. He's put up the points. They're using him quite a bit. I don't think that his the volume is really an issue for a flex position. I would say good for you. Go for it.
Yep, I think he's a good play. What about Latavius Murray there? 40% owned.
I struggle with this one because I think this is going to be the issue, right? If he kept getting double-digit touches like he did in San Francisco when they gave him 11 carries, you're kind of like, okay, I could see it. But right now, I think the truth about the situation is he's just a very valuable handcuff. So I think you can get rid of him. I think there's other people that you should go after if you're looking for a running back. But if Cook goes down for any reason, the guy's going to be very valuable.
What about Bock Kalin? I'm always interested in Bock Kalin. Mainly because I don't like Alex Collins. Allen, he's had touchdowns in both weeks so far. He's able to get some catches. I mean, I don't know. Or you just, my Alex Collins hatred is blinding me into the fact that Allen is not a useful player to have on your team. Am I wrong?
I don't know yet. I still don't know how that's going to shake out. I'm not completely against Bock Kalin because I think they want to throw to him a little more. He had 5 catches last game, so not a terrible one. I still like Collins more. I think when he runs, I think he looked better, to be honest, last game. And I think before that, Bock Kalin looked a little bit better. So I think that there's room for both of them. And I don't really think the Baltimore is going to be a huge scoring offense. I think Collins will win out. So I'm very hesitant on that whole side of it.
I think at some point Collins has to lose his job, right?
I don't think it's going to happen. I know you do. And you've been more right than I have thus far. But I need a few more games before I relinquish that right to for you to gloat.
All right, I guess I can't do it yet, but I'm getting closer. Hopefully, okay. This is what I'm actually. I just feel like I don't know. I could feel this happening. Is Ronald Jones hasn't been active for his first 2 games. Peyton Barber has not shown anything. Jaquiz Rodgers, we really know what that guy is, and he's shown he can do things at sometimes, but he's an average back. Could Ronald Jones be a guy to stash on your bench right now?
Yeah, purely because the other running backs have completely just botched it. Yes. They're going to give him a shot eventually, the way things are going. So I think that is and no one's going to really go after him. I really don't believe so. I don't think anyone's going to be really talking about him. I'd be surprised if they do. But yeah, I think if you need a running back and you're desperate to find one, especially in a deeper league, I think if Ronald Jones is there, you throw a buck at him or a couple bucks, you put him at the end of your bench, and you wait for him to, get a few carries and see what you got.
Yeah, he's down to 30% owned right now, so he's going to be out there in some leagues. So yeah, I like to take chances sometimes on guys like that. All right, who are some other players you got here?
A streaming option. You gotta love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Only owned in 31% of leagues. He did well last 2 weeks. Obviously killed it. So hey, if you need a quarterback, he's definitely going to be a guy that you want to look at.
Oh yeah, I think at this point you pick him up and he's playable right now until he doesn't do it. 2 weeks in a row. He's been great. It's kind of ridiculous what he's done. He had 50.3 week 1 and 38 week 2. That's pretty impressive. And now he goes up against Pittsburgh, who just gave up 6 touchdown passes to Mahomes.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be he's going to be ranked in the top 10, I think. He has to be. And with those weapons that he has, everyone knew Mike Evans is very good. But Godwin coming on, I think O.J. Howard definitely showed flashes, which he's on my list as well. I obviously have a big thing for O.J. Howard. I think he'll be good. He showed something today. And then Desean Jackson has been on fire. So he has a lot of guys to throw to. And without a running game, he's going to keep throwing it.
Oh, yeah. If you're in the streaming quarterback business, you need to get Fitzpatrick right now. And you play him. You can just keep playing him. Because I'm not sold on the fact that if Fitzpatrick gets through, this game and does it again, how could Jameis Winston take over the job? It won't happen. There's no way, right?
If they haven't lost a game or he keeps playing like he is, Jameis will not be the starter when he comes back. Maybe eventually he'll take it back over because he is supposed to be the franchise quarterback. But right now, Fitzpatrick is just playing the perfect game.
He really is. So I got to pick him up. Then let's see if there's any tight end options at all down there. OJ Howard.
OJ Howard. I was actually I wanted to know your feelings about Jesse James because he blew up today.
He did.
He's only owned in 3.2%. I don't really know what to think about him quite yet.
I think for this week in that game, Tampa, Pittsburgh, that's going to have the highest over-under, I feel like, for the week. And I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Pittsburgh is going to be another high-scoring affair, and Jesse James could be a good option. I thought Vance McDonald being active this week would be used more, but maybe he will. But Jesse James has looked really good. So I think that, especially for week 3, this is going to be a very good option. I don't know how much going forward beyond that, but at least for this week, I think it's going to be a great pickup. There's really not a lot, though, down there. I mean, OJ Howard is like the other guy I would be considering.
Yeah, I mean, those were really the only two that I saw that I'd be interested in.
I mean, yeah, for right now, I mean, like we said, I like Jake Butt going forward, but not yet. He's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go quite that far.
How about some deep wide receiver options? I don't even know if this is a pickup yet, but I still think it's a watch. And Tyler Boyd played really well on Thursday night last week. So I just keep an eye out. The guy's only owned in 1.1% of leagues. If he can do another game like that, it'd be worth a pickup. I'm not picking him up yet unless you're in an extremely deep league. Just another guy to watch. Then, as I talking about the Cleveland, then is Antonio Callaway. Solid pickup, I think. Another guy I would like to just kind of wait and see what he's going to be doing. But I like what I've seen from him so far, and they need to throw the ball to somebody.
Yeah, and he's already, I mean, Higgins is going to be number 2. Like, Callaway is already he's a much more talented player. And really, if it wasn't, going to Gordon, if it wasn't for Callaway's, kind of like what happened to him in college, he wasn't known as necessarily the greatest person to have on a team. He would have definitely been a first-round talent, everyone says. So, I mean, the guy definitely has huge upside. And now the fact that he could slide into that wide receiver 2 role, or at least be on the field more, he is a very interesting player. And obviously they will need those guys moving forward because you saw that their offense was, they could definitely improve a little bit.
Then I'll say defensively, there's not a lot of great options for me this week. I'll say if the Bears were out there in your league, they're only owned in 58% of leagues. So they're still, they're over our 50% mark, but you never know with defenses. They play Arizona. Arizona's been bad. So I would play, if they're available, I'd like them. I don't have a lot of other options I like here. Looking at defenses for streaming wise, that's one thing I don't know a lot about yet. I want to go against, I want the team that's going against Buffalo, but that's the Vikings, so you're not going to be streaming them this week. And other than that, used to be you could just go against Cleveland, but that's Jets, Cleveland. Maybe the Jets could be a good defense against Cleveland. Cleveland hasn't done a lot yet. That might be the play if they're out there. As the Jets are a sneaky good play maybe for next week.
Right.
Other than that, do you have one? Because I really don't. That's about it.
No, it's very difficult to find one.
Especially this
every
early.
Time I was gonna say because obviously it's very up and down all over the place. Honestly, in a weird way, I think maybe Cowboys might not be a bad one. And I know it sounds weird, but they got 6 points against Carolina, and then New York they shut down, obviously, which I know they don't have a great line, but they have a lot of good weapons. They got 12 points against them, and they're going against Seattle, who, is not quite themselves right now. Maybe they're okay. But yeah, this week is going to be a little more thin on possibilities of streaming, if you will.
Yep. All right, I think that's going to do it. Unless you got any other players here for us.
No, I guess my question would be, I know everyone's going to ask about Calvin Ridley. Obviously, he caught a touchdown. He was very hyped coming out of the draft. Where would you think of him in the grand scheme of waiver?
Well, if you have a bench spot and you have the room for it, and some of these other guys we talked about aren't available, throw a claim in on Ridley, put him on your bench and see what he becomes. So I think he's definitely worth throwing on the end of your bench right now. I still would want, want a lot of these other guys we talked about, like especially wide receiver like Keeling Cole, Geronimo Allison, Chris Godwin, Mike Williams. I want those guys yet ahead of him, but I'm dropping Sanu for him. I'm dropping, like all those other guys we talked about. I'm dropping those guys for Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, and I love it too because Calvin Ridley is actually owned in more leagues than Mike Williams.
That's crazy.
Chris Godwin and Geronimo Allison.
That's crazy. That's going to all change here soon. It has to change. Those guys have to jump up, right?
Yeah, I hope.
We'll see. But all right, that'll do it. We'll be back tomorrow with our rankings episode. If you want to get in on that and get some comments in on our ranks, go check them out on our Instagram page. It'll be posted tomorrow, where you can comment on what you think our rankings look like. So that's how we'll end up talking about. We'll bring up your comments on the episode tomorrow night. We'll talk to you guys then.